I got so much feedback from my Stolen Valor handy guide video. I thought I need to make a video follow-up to this, answering the viewer mail. I cannot thank you guys so much for how much interest was put in this video. The comments have been, a lot of very supportive thanks. Some dislikes. Okay, that's all cool and good in the hood. Some funny stuff. Some of you guys are really funny. So I'm going to answer a few of these right now. Just let's see what everybody's saying and some follow-up, some clarification on some stuff, and just answering some of your questions. First up, I had 800 Army guys tell me it is AR 670-1 is the Army uniform regulations. I apologize. I am aware of this number. It's now burned in my brain like I was in the Army. So sorry I got the number wrong, and I said in the video I'm probably getting it wrong, and I did. So sorry about that. The little thread I created about that, we also have a, kind of get into a bit like, just another way to tell a faker, what do they call boot camp or basic? Army says basic a lot. I never heard them really say boot camp. The Marines and Navy, we say boot or boot camp. I don't know what the Air Force, I believe the Air Force also calls it basic as a rule. It's not a hard and fast one, but as typically if the guy says he was in the Army, especially any time in the last 20, 30 years, and he says boot camp, that's a little weird and suspicious. So throwing that out right there now. A couple of comments on, hey, a lot of these people are emotionally disturbed, crack nut cases, what have you. Yeah, they are. So like I said in the video, sometimes you got to pick your battles. If he's obviously an emotionally disturbed homeless guy, I'm not going after him. That's just, I have better things to do. If the guy's just obviously just a compulsive liar who's making up tons of tall tales, and he's not only a Navy SEAL, but he's a CIA operative and worked for the president, and he knows about the aliens and blah blah blah. You're looking at someone who's probably a little bit mentally disturbed. No, my main concern are just people who are just putting it out there. Obviously the people who are trying to steal benefits that aren't theirs. That's fraud. That is illegal. That is not defended by free speech. People bullshitting about it, just to get laid or just for bragging rights or just like people to think they're something that they're not. That's free speech. You're correct. That is, the First Amendment is completely protected. I'm also protected in calling you out. That is also part of the First Amendment. So be warned. A lot of comments about my name. Get that about every video. Yeah, Salty Seaman. I thought it was catchy. I wonder if people do it just to piss other people off. There are a few. There's a bald fat guy who likes to claim that he wears a Army uniform around and scores free meals and drinks all the time. He is obviously a very big troll. He posts all the time on Facebook and YouTube all the time, posting these videos, bragging about it. And he's doing it to get a rise out of people. Yeah, ignore him. He's probably not doing any of that anyway. Maybe he is. If he is, he'll get caught at some point, and who knows what will happen to him if he caught by the wrong people. But yeah, if they're trolling, just ignore the trolls. They get a rise when you react to them. Someone says, no figure for the Marines. Or any service, what ribbon did he get out of MEPS? If you don't know that, you don't know. MEPS. If you mean boot camp, pretty much everyone gets a certain medal out of boot camp, unless you served during like the 80s or period in the mid to late 90s, you didn't get that medal. But everyone pretty much gets it. Anybody in the service would know that off the top of their head. I think there's guys that go videoing a scene and they're trying to call it a guy in Stolen Valor, trying to promote their own egos. Their egos, saying they're real. Of course, yeah. It's like, hey, look how I'm big and strong. I'm making all these videos. Yeah. If you're posting videos to YouTube in general, you probably have a bit of an ego. I'm not going to. I don't. So yeah, we like being. Certain people like being on camera, and they enjoy entertaining. However they do it, that's anybody who is an entertainer. That's part of the gig. Some people are maybe a little overzealous in it. Like I talked in my last video. Try not to be attacking homeless guys in the street, even if they are faking military service. Just, let's all be civil here. Got a troll talking about, it's like, You know, this is defended under Supreme Court's upheld stolen valor is defended under free speech. You can't go around calling them out. That is against the rules. This person is just trolling, trying to get a rise out of everybody. I humored him for a while, but you know, no. The right to call out a faker is also protected in the First Amendment. It's something that goes both ways. Yeah. The dress code for Space Rangers is SR 89.5. Funny. If they're in full dress uniform at Target, Starbucks, or an auto show, why? All the first sign. Not necessarily, especially if they're junior. I've made this point. Guys and gals who go home on leave for the first time after, usually a little bit after boot camp, you know, maybe they haven't even gone to the fleet or the field yet, you know, they're just on their first time home on leave, they're going to want to wear their uniform everywhere. They probably don't do it around post because that's just such a boot thing to do. And, you know, you get called Joe Navy or Joe Marine or whatever, you know, hard charger or whatever, you look like, you know, you'll get made a fool of. But when you're home on leave, yeah, people like to show off like, hey, look what I did. I joined the military. They want to show off their uniform. So not necessarily someone in like full ribbons that's like got a stack and he's just hanging out somewhere that, you know, there's no reason for him to be in full uniform. Yeah, that's, and they look like they've got, you know, huge stack of ribbons. That's a little weird. Like, you're like, why are you attending some kind of event that you need to be in uniform? If not, okay, then why? Then you're looking for attention, and a lot of times those guys looking for attention haven't earned what's on their uniform. Good chance. A lot of butthurt cooks out there, sorry. Just using it as an example, people don't claim to be a cook. They just don't if they're faking it. They're going to claim something really important. I use cooks and my old rate that I originally came in the Navy, yeoman, as two things people don't claim. They just don't. If they're going to fake military service, they're going to go big. It's like, why? You know, they don't get attention by saying, yeah, I was in the Navy and I was a cook, and just that lie alone, people will just say, oh, okay, thanks for your service. But, you know, you're a Ranger or a SEAL, then they're like, oh, wow, like you're a commando badass, blah, blah, blah. That's the attention they want. So that's the point I was making, not getting on any cooks. I have a lot of friends who are Navy cooks. You know, stop burning my eggs. But other than that, no, you guys are all right. Ask them a few random general orders, and if they can't figure it out, then they're busted. No, I don't remember my general orders. That's something, at least in the Navy side, you memorize them in boot camp, and you never really have to use them again, maybe before a board. I think 5 is I quit my post only when proper relieved. That's probably the only one I could name off the top of my head. Like, I just don't know my general orders, sorry. Someone says the way to bust Marine fakers is don't ask them boot camp. Say MCRD if they look confused by the acronym. Yeah, they're probably, if they're enlisted, they were a faker. Or even an officer would know what fucking MCRD is. I know what MCRD is, and I'm Navy. Bud's class numbers haven't hit 400 yet. I don't know if I said 400 in my original video. I have to go back and look, but I was making just a random number. I have no idea what Bud's class they're on right now. Like, I would have no reason to follow that closely. A lot of people asking about uniform components. You know, is it okay if I wear Army camo pants I got from the thrift store? Yes, I don't care. You know, even the tops. There's people who get weird about that, but if there's no insignia patches with a rank and, you know, command rockers or whatnot, no, theirs are taken off, then it's just a piece of clothing. Dress uniforms, you know, depending on how much you wear, you gotta be real careful. I would stay away. But yeah, if you want to get a pair of camo pants that were formerly some guy in the Marines or Army or Navy or whatever, and they don't have any patches on it, yeah, I don't care. No one cares. A lot of comments on the Faith No More shirt where I was wearing. It's good to see some Faith No More fans out there. My favorite band, Mike Patton is God. Asking for their blue card or military veterans card, no. I mean, they should have the blue, if they say they're retired, they should have a blue retired card. Doesn't mean they have it on them. Like, I carry mine in my wallet just because I just have it in my wallet. A lot of people wouldn't carry it around. Why do they need to? Not everyone goes to the VA and gets a veteran's ID card. I've never seen one. I know they exist, but you know, like people just get out and go about their daily lives. Not a really good way to find if someone was in the service. If they're active duty, they should have their military ID on them, but you know, it is required. You're supposed to have your ID on you at all times, but if they're on leave or whatever, they might not. So. A lot of undersea jokes, yes, probably because I mentioned the cook thing, yes. Steven Seagal's character, Casey Ryback, was a SEAL who got fired as a SEAL and became a cook. That is the movie. I get it. Yes, you're the 800th person to make the joke. Go Casey Ryback. If they're in their 70s or 80s, let it go. Let the old man have their thing. No. A liar is a liar is a liar. I don't care if you're just trying to impress the old folks home. You shouldn't be claiming something you didn't have. I don't have sympathy for you just because of your age. Asking for a military address, it should end in mil. Okay, if they're active duty, yeah, they probably have a military MIL, but why would they have to give it out to you to prove who you are? So there's 100 other things to ask somebody. Good one, I like this. I genuinely appreciate the point you made at 15 minutes. That's the issue, not people needing to fight these dumbasses. There's more subtle and meaningful ways to address their behavior. There's no saying that some of these communities I work in, to give those who know, no explanation is required. To those who not, none can be given. Like, yeah, basic sentiment. It's like, don't be fighting people and getting in punching matches over this. You know, if you know them to be full of shit after some questioning, then just embarrass them by their lack of knowledge if you choose to. I think that's punishment enough, especially if their buddies are around. Their buddies who are probably suspicious of their bullshit anyway, have now had it confirmed, and now that guy's just completely embarrassed. There's no reason to fucking punch him in the face, or her. Bunch of comments, people who have personal things of running into complete dumbasses claiming service that didn't know shit from Shinola. Yeah, that happens. A lot of them happen, apparently, like Memorial Day, Veterans Day, when they do like the free meals. There's a lot of fakers who grab a uniform and go get a free Applebee's or whatever. Yeah, that sucks. And that's when you tend to see a lot of the lower level kind of fakers go and pull their bullshit. People claiming that for a very, people who continually claim something they don't have, I'm a little more worried about, but still, those guys are bullshit. If you catch them, point them out and embarrassing them is probably the way to go. There are a lot of guys making the, machine door gunners, mates, recon, put the long list. Oh, they're funny. Not very original. I've seen like a billion of those, but points for trying. Complaints about the audio in the last one. I don't know what happened. It sounded fine on my end. Apparently a lot of people were both right and left were saying it wasn't working. I don't know why. I'll try to fix that in the future. Sorry. One person said he didn't have any audio at all, which I don't know, but I played it on my TV, I played it on my laptop. Everything sounded fine and in stereo. I don't know. I will work on it. So thanks everyone who's pointed out. Last one, a couple of people where I was like, hey, well, if you're putting out all these things how they do it wrong, you're just helping the fakers. I'm giving a very small tip of the iceberg on some of this stuff. There's a lot more. If a complete faker goes up against someone who's in the service, they're just not going to have the knowledge. These are a couple tips for civilians. It's not like everyone's going to see my video anyway. And I may have slipped in some bullshit. You don't know. You might think you have the right answer, and maybe I fucking fed you a line of bullshit. So what are you going to do about that? So regardless, no. I don't think this is really helping anyone. I mean, if someone wants to be a fake SEAL, they can go watch all of Don Shipley's videos, and he gives 100 ways that a faker could use to knowledge, but eventually they're going to trip themselves up because they didn't actually do it. And unless you actually do it, you just aren't going to have the knowledge to hold up under like most regular conversations with someone who doesn't know what they're talking about. That's anything in life. I could pretend I'm a fucking IT guy. And, a guy who's actually in IT, and he's going to know within 3 questions, my base knowledge of how computers work, that I don't fucking know how to do IT work. So that's just to give an example. So anyway, I think that's enough. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you like this follow-up. Please ask me any more questions, more comments, funny jokes. I like them. There's a lot of good jokes, a lot of bad ones. A couple of trolls come out. I didn't expect this many fucking hits. The trolls start coming out of the woodwork. Sorry you didn't like the video, or you think I'm a tool, or want to call me a fag or whatever. That's your right. I don't care. But those who did enjoy it, thank you very much. Those who subscribed and gave me all the hits, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. More videos coming. My camera just broke today. I'm doing this on my iPhone, so I hopefully will have another video in a couple of days after this. So watch out for it. I'm Salty Seaman. Peace.